On today's really useful guide, finding a new job can be intimidating, but we give you some pointers on how to bag that new career, like job application forms, how to read them properly and fill them in. And election time is nearly upon us. But what are the politicians really saying to us when they say vote for me?
Let's face it, looking for a new job can be overwhelming, but bear in mind that the economy is booming, so if you stick with it, there's a good chance you'll find something that suits you. People who are looking for work fall into many different categories. You might have recently gained new skills and want a new job that lets you use them. Or maybe you've been out of the workforce for a while, perhaps rearing children, and you want to return to work. Or maybe you've just left school or college and you're ready to start your first real job. Regardless of where you've come from though, finding a new job can change your life. So here's a really useful guide to get you started.
There are many reasons for changing your job. You may want one that pays more money or has less of a commute. You may want to work fewer hours, or you might just want a fresh challenge. Whatever the reason, looking for a job can take time and work, but there are plenty of places to start looking. Niall McAllister, the Managing Director of Acumen Recruitment Limited, has some advice.
There is loads of jobs out there, but there's a lot of competition for those jobs. And I mean, all we have to do is look at all the Europeans that have been coming into Ireland over the last couple of years. There are places to look, like the newspapers and the internets and FOSS and recruitment agencies, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that you need to put in the work to get the right job for yourself.
Most daily newspapers have job sections, and national newspapers like the Daily Star, the Evening Herald, the Irish Times, the Irish Independent and the Irish Examiner tend to have better paid jobs in large towns and cities. There's often a bigger job section on Thursdays.
If he's looking for a job in hotel and catering, when you go to the newspapers, there'll be different headings in the job sections of the papers. So you'll see sales and marketing or information technology, and there will be a section in the papers for hotel and catering. The next thing he'll do is browse down through the ads and see a job title in an ad in the newspaper that he's attracted to or he believes that he can do. The next thing to do is obviously then to read the ad in detail and see if the location suits and fits his needs, and that the level of experience that may be listed on the ad is the same level of experience that he has himself.
Ads often use abbreviations to save space. So instead of saying that a salary is 24,000 a year, it will say 24k.
Salary is normally advertised in the 3 Ps, which is PH, which is for per hour, PW, which is for per week, PA, which is for per annum, and per annum actually stands for an annual salary or the yearly salary.
Take note of how you have to apply for the job. For this job, you have to send in a CV. A CV is a curriculum vitae. It's a document you write yourself which contains your contact details and information about your education and work experience.
The most important thing about a good CV is to make it very, very clear for the reader. You need to be able to get somebody to get to know you on paper.
Make sure you note down when the closing date for the application is. This is the last day for applying for the job. Another useful place to look for a job is FOSS. FOSS have offices all over Ireland, which list jobs from all around the country.
Okay, this is the FOSS Jobs Ireland site, and basically this site offers people information on our vacancies and on our courses, okay? So you can actually print the details of the job here.
When you get all your information on the jobs, compile a list of the jobs in order of your preference.
Here it will give you the details on the vacancy, and it will also give you the hours of work and the rate of pay as well.
Excellent, and I can email my CV.
You can email your CV to that address there.
Perfect. Okay, that's brilliant.
Right,
thank you very much. Thanks, bye.
You can also use the internet to find a job. Don't worry if you don't have a computer of your own. You can check out jobs on the internet in internet cafes.
First thing that you'll find when you go into the internet cafes is that you'll actually be able to get help from experienced staff that know how to browse the internet. A lot of the sites are very, very easy to use. If you go onto one particular site, which is called Google, it will then give you a list of companies that are actually hiring staff or looking for staff. The internet jobs postings, in other words, the job descriptions that you would get on the internet would be far more detailed, more specific information on the criteria or the skill sets that they're actually looking to hire. So it really is a benefit using the internet to search for jobs.
Now you have your CV prepared and a list of jobs on offer, there's nothing to stop you from getting the right job.
Well, our guests today are Mary Lanigan, a literacy student from Kilkenny, and also Geraldine King, who's the Dublin Recruitment Manager with Grafton Recruitment. That's an organisation that specialises in helping people find the job that suits them. Welcome along to both of you.
Thank you.
Mary, you left school at 14, and it's something a lot of women did back then when you were 14.
Yeah.
Do you think things would be very different now for 14-year-olds?
Oh yes, much different.
How?
Because now there'd be immediate teachers, things like that. There weren't in my time. You know, you just left school and that was it. If you were left behind, you were left behind, and you were passed over. And
is that how you felt?
yeah.
Really? Was that difficult?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think if you were 14 now,
oh yes,
things, and you didn't leave school, your life would have turned out very
oh
differently?
yes.
How
yes.
do you think?
Well, I'd have been educated more. I'd have, you know, I'd have went on and got college education. And
Would you?
yes, I would. I'd have went. When I see the kids out there now, they really are so bright. And
Yeah. And I suppose they have, do you feel they have a lot more opportunities?
oh, they have, yeah.
Yeah. You
They
can
have.
pick and choose exactly what you want to do.
Yes.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
It is. It's wonderful.
Do you find, Geraldine, that have you encountered many women in their 40s and 50s and older than that who maybe have spent decades out of the workforce or in a different workforce rearing children, and now they're going back to try and get a new career?
Absolutely, and especially so in the last 5 years. There's so many courses available now and so many avenues that have been opened up with these courses that people can either go back to the skill they had earlier achieved or develop a new skill. And companies are more flexible in taking in people with work experience, and these people would fall into this category.
So women who, say, perhaps have been minding their children, bringing them up for 20 years, before they start a job, they can get work experience in different companies, can't they?
They can. Companies have got very flexible in this area, and it also gains the confidence of the candidate going back out into the workforce, that they would have a little bit of knowledge and also a little bit of experience in the field they're going into.
That's great, and I suppose they can try it out and see if it's an area that suits them.
Absolutely.
Mary, you were, when you were out of the workforce, running a household, being at home. What kind of skills do you think are needed in that job?
Well, really, you'd be kind of use your own skills, like, to do that kind of work. You know what I mean?
And so varied, your budgeting.
But it would be kind of and not having good education wouldn't be too good. Wouldn't work very well.
But I suppose you're managing an awful lot.
You
a bit
are.
like a company director. You're in charge of the children and the budgets and the cooking, and there's a lot of skills.
There's a lot of skills
involved in that. Do you find, Geraldine, taking people who take time out to run a home like that, to have children, maybe to travel, people who have been out of the workforce for some years, have a gap in their CVs? Is that a problem when they're going for interviews for jobs?
No. If you fill the gap on your CV, you're not leaving yourself open to awkward questions. So, for instance, if you've taken a career break to rear your children, say it, whether it's 5 years or 10 years. Once it's on your CV, that's what you did.
If you can't remember?
If you can't remember, if you just put for those particular years that you took a career break.
Right. What about making something up?
It's not a good idea. You'll always get found out.
Will you?
Yes.
Have you encountered people who...
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
It doesn't work. You're better to be very truthful all the time.
Okay. They can probably tell anyway a lot.
Well, if you're pretending to have a skill you don't have, you'll definitely be found out.
Mary, what made you decide to go back to WordAid and look for some help in improving your skills in literacy?
Well, see, for years I didn't know there were anything out there.
Yeah.
And then I seen, there was a banner across the street, and I seen it in Kilkenny. And I said, oh my God, I said, I should go to that. But then I was...
Can you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was World Aid. It was the literacy.
Brilliant.
And
that's a very good idea. That caught your attention.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
you couldn't miss it.
I couldn't miss it.
Was it difficult taking that first step then?
Yes.
Why?
Because I really didn't think that they could do anything for me, because, as I said, you know, I was many years before I had.
You thought you were beyond help.
I did.
You?
I thought I was really beyond help. I did.
And what did you find out?
I found out that there was help there for me, plenty of it.
Yeah, and that there were lots of other people.
Yes, there were lots of other people, and I couldn't believe there were lots of other people.
When you started then, and they were saying this to you, sure, look, there's loads of people, and come on in, and we've got courses here. Was that a relief?
Yes, a big relief.
Was it?
Yes, yes.
And did you talk to your family about it?
Yes, and they encouraged me to go.
Brilliant. So what kind of difference has it made to your life then?
When someone hands you a form, you can now fill it in. You don't have to worry. Do you know what I mean? Before that, you would just say, oh my God, what am I going to do? Will I hand back the form? What will I do with it?
Yeah, you'd be panicking in case...
You'd be panicking, yeah.
You found yourself in a situation.
Yes, yes.
And what about in terms of banks and shopping and all of that?
Yes, it was all a problem, a big problem.
What happens when somebody like Mary comes into a recruitment agency like Irwin Grafton Recruitment? Talk us through the steps. What goes on?
Okay, when Mary comes in, the first person she will meet will be the receptionist. We have application forms at the front desk. If you need help filling out your application form, that is not a problem. Ideally, if you have an idea of the career path you're trying to go down, we will have the expert consultant available to meet, register your details on file and talk you through opportunities that are currently available or other avenues to explore.
So could that be jobs that are available?
Yes.
Or it could also be courses that would lead you in a certain direction?
Yes, well, the recruitment consultant would always be an expert in that particular field. So they would have a fair idea of what courses would be required if you were looking for a job that you didn't have the basic skills for. Ideally, when you come in with your CV, or if you don't have a CV, it's not a problem. We would help you to build a CV. The recruitment consultant is the person that can advise you.
OK. What if you're not sure, Geraldine? If, like Mary, there are so many directions now, the world is her oyster that she can go in, she just hasn't finalised it and decided what area she wants to go in. Can recruitment agencies help there?
Yes.
They can.
Yes, in a big way, they can.
Giving you ideas?
They can tell you what's currently available. You know, they can kind of plant a little seed. You would have some idea underneath it. You know, you would normally say, well, I'd like to maybe work in an office, or I'd like to work in a warehouse. You know, or whatever you're... Yes. So you'd have a fair idea. And then you could be told by the recruitment consultant as to what positions would be available within that industry or within that particular area.
Yeah. Is filling out a form always part now of applying for a job? Or will a CV do? Do you always have to fill in forms, and can you get help?
Yes, it depends on the company. If you come into a recruitment agency, there'll always be somebody there to help you fill in the form if you have problems filling in the form. A lot of companies now have registration forms as opposed to CVs, but they do accept CVs as well. It basically depends on the company. One particular company may have a particular question they would want answered. Right. So that would be their reason for having
for
the
example,
application form.
In banking, are you good with numbers?
Yes, it could be something like that, you know.
Yeah.
It would depend on the company, basically.
OK. But there is help there?
Oh, there's help in all areas.
OK.
Yes.
Well, when you're applying for certain jobs, you will have to fill out that application form rather than just handing in your CV. Naturally, you'll want to give the very best possible impression of yourself when you fill out a form like this. So here are some handy hints that will help you do just that.